back on Rebel headquarters. We got another great guest for you guys. John Calabrese is running for state assembly in Wisconsin, District 29. Longtime TYT member. All right, I love that. So John, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. Quite an honor.
Thank you, brother. So I see here that not only have you been a TYT member for 8 years, but that you were state director of Wolf-PAC for 3 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So before we get to your political career, just out of curiosity, how did you find TYT and why did you decide to volunteer for Wolf-PAC?
How did I find TYT? I think I was listening to Best of the Left back in the day, back working at a cabinet shop, and you popped up on there. I'd been listening to Democracy Now! And really liked your style, and I wanted more to become a member, just wanted to hear more. And then as far as Wolf-PAC goes, I was really concerned with the environment and the climate. And I started to realize, I did a little bit of volunteer work in that regard. And then I started to realize that everything came back to the money. And so then I was looking for a way to get involved with that. And I kept hearing you harp on it, and I had some free time. And I became a volunteer. When I signed up, I think we had 5 members on the team in Wisconsin. And by the time the Trump train rolled through, we had dozens of members all across the state. And we had a resolution introduced in 2 consecutive sessions. And it's just a wonderful thing to do. Lots of great volunteers from all across the spectrum and all sorts of walks of life. So it was a good time.
Excellent. So why are you running for state assembly now?
Well, I know you guys covered, and it was kind of big news back in January. There was a special election for a Senate seat in Wisconsin, and I actually ran in that primary. And that's when I decided to get involved. It just kind of popped up, and it came out on November 10th. The news broke that there was going to be that primary, and through Wolf-PAC, one of the things that's great about Wolf-PAC is you get to know in and out all the different legislators, who they are and what kind of people they are, what they stand for. And I saw who the GOP was putting up there. And so I knew that they were kind of monsters. So I just had to try to jump in. And I don't think the Democrats did anything nefarious like they do at the DCCC or anything. There was no time. They just found a candidate, and turns out she's a wonderful woman. There was like a 3-month or 3-week run until the primary. And we lost, but we did really well, and I got a good team around me. And as soon as we lost the primary, we jumped in to help her, and I think we had a big impact. And now she's in the Senate. Patty Shockner is her name, and she beat a Republican in a strongly red district for a long time. And so the timing was weird of that election, but it was good for keeping the team together and running for an assembly seat that's coming up in November. So we're rolling right into that.
So John, that was the election that Governor Walker called a wake-up call?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the one that made national headlines because a progressive won in a district that was so deeply red in the middle of Wisconsin, especially after Trump had won Wisconsin. That's why it was such a huge election. Well, I love what you said about how you helped her after the primary to try to beat the Republican. And you know, look, a lot of times the establishment tries to foist fake unity on us, but now this is case after case I've seen of real unity where progressives hold hands afterwards and fight together. So that's terrific. So that was for a state Senate seat in a special election, but now you're running for state assembly. So tell me about that race.
Well, there are 33 Senate districts in the state, and each Senate district has 3 assembly districts inside it. So 33 Senate seats, 99 assembly seats. And the fellow I'm running against is a first-term guy. I actually met him through Wolf-PAC. January 2017, we were in the State House and knocking on doors, and I just stopped in, and we had a meeting with him. Nice guy, but I think I can sum up him by telling you what's happened in Wisconsin and just this last year, in just 2017. There's the Foxconn deal that maybe you've heard about, where Walker's given away now it's ballooned to about $4 billion to this company without any guarantees of employment gains or guarantees of much of anything. They're able to skirt environmental regulation. There's all sorts of bills that have gone through that would just amaze you. I mean, maybe not, but And I often think of Herman Cain when I read the bills that they put through, and because they are 2 levels deep, and they have something on top that they're pushing for people. There's some quick examples. There's one called the Homeowners Bill of Rights, and the way that the GOP puts it forward is this poor woman had a piece of property, and it was actually 2 parcels in one. She wanted to sell off one piece, but the nasty state government came in and said, no, you can't do that. And there's reasons why they have those rules in place. One parcel is not good to build on. It's near a waterway and you don't want another septic system, all sorts of reasons like that. But the GOP came in and made special rules saying that you have your property rights and you can sell off whatever you want, and that's how they portray it. But if you read the text of the bill, a couple paragraphs down, it says, and this is the real reason that they do things like this, it says that public comment can no longer be the sole reason that a project or a development is stopped. And so basically they're taking away democracy, and that's a law now. That's for anything. And so it's in there. They don't talk about it. So if the public gets together and says, we don't want that development in our backyard, if the company comes in and fills out the paperwork, pays the fees, then that's too damn bad. They're going to build it there. And one other quick one, they just passed yesterday in the Senate. I forget the name of it, but basically what it says is any municipality, any city who wants to set their own rules in terms of employment, in raising a minimum wage to attract workers, or benefits for teachers, or any different employment laws, it's illegal. And so you have super rural parts of the state, and then you have Madison and you have Milwaukee. So if those big cities say we need a higher minimum wage, we need more benefits to attract good workers, it's now the law that says the state makes the rules. And this is the party of big government, and that seems like pretty big government to me. And so my opponent has voted yes on all those things. He's just gone along with that, so he's got to go.
Yeah, same thing in Alabama. They did a very similar bill where one of the bigger cities has passed a higher minimum wage. They didn't like it. They just said, okay, we're overruling you. Same thing in Missouri. St. Louis had passed a higher minimum wage. But the Republicans that control Missouri were like, well, we don't want our donors to pay a higher minimum wage. We want to make sure the workers get less and the corporations get more. So no, sad day, we're taking away your higher rates.
No, that's all it is. And the language they use, they paint these businesses as if they're weaklings walking into walls, and they say it's a patchwork of regulation, and how could they, there's uncertainty, and how could they ever figure out that they might need to pay some more money in Madison than up on the shores of Lake Superior? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they can figure it out. But okay, that's the minimum wage in that city, and that's the one in that city. I'm done with it. It just doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So I'm going to ask you a weird question here. I see in your bio that you own and operate a small woodworking and carpentry business in your neck of the woods.
That's true.
So how in the world did you get to be this educated on politics?
I just read and listened to podcasts and listened to news programs, and I was raised conservative. My parents are still very conservative, and in fact they're more conservative than they were when I was young. And so I think that gave me a good perspective. And then when I grew up and I started to pay attention, started to question things, I just became incredibly interested in finding out the truth about what's happened and what's gone on, and it's just been fascinating to me. And I still love the woodworking, and in Wisconsin, it's evolved from just woodworking into construction. And when I see people here, on the job site, all walks of life, they're independent thinkers. A lot of them don't pay too close attention to politics. But I love to tell them how it affects their life, and the state legislature is huge. And I know you've mentioned it a lot of times on your program, but in 2016, there was that moment in the Trump campaign where he said, I've given everybody on this stage, and when I give, they're there for me. And it's a sick system. And when I saw people at the dump and I saw people at the job site, that really spoke to them. And they're like, I'm sick of the ads, I'm sick of the money, he's not asking me for anything. And so we actually, for Wolf-PAC, we thought that was going to be great. We're like, oh, look at this, we might get some Republicans on board. but no. They're addicted to that money, and it's huge here. And so I just, I want to remain a woodworker. I want to keep doing that. But I mean, if we don't, you can't unmine all the mines they're opening up, and you can't unpollute the waters. And I got 2 kids, and if I don't do something now, I don't want to wait till later. We got to get it done now.
All right, I want to give everybody the links to John. That's such a strong voice, John. I love it. Is it Calabrese? Is that how it's pronounced, the last name?
Yep, Calabrese.
Yeah, CalabreseForWisconsin.com. And donate and volunteer. It's the 29th district of Wisconsin. He has no primary opponent, so he's a Democrat in the race up against the Republican. Turn Wisconsin blue again. And so, John, I love your effort. I love how much you care about this. So go get him, brother.
Well, thanks, Jenkins. Can I say one thing real quick? When you got people in your ear, good friends of yours, Dave Kohler and Steve O, telling you to maybe mix up your topics and stuff like that, I need you to know that when you keep pounding it home, you never know who's listening. Each time you put up that graph about the corporate tax rate over the years and the stagnating wages, like, you never know, and that's the kind of stuff that's motivated me and all sorts of people. So I say go forward with that.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that too. That's right, fantastic, man. I can't wait for you to be an assemblyman. That kind of bright, industrious, actual cares about the American people. That kind of person being our true representative in the actual meaning of that word would be wonderful. Thank you, brother.
Oh, thanks a lot for the opportunity.